Welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Podcast, hosted by CRM technology and sales process expert Christopher Smith, talking with sales leaders that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Listen to find out how the best of the best achieve success with their team and CRM technology. And remember, unless you are the lead dog, the view never changes.
Welcome to Sales Lead Dog. I have a special treat for my listeners today. Normally I have one person on the show. Today we have two. So we're going to get to hear both sides of the story. I have Riley Vidock, who is the Director of Sales for Elan Fuels, and I have Carl Bailey, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Elan Fuels. So we're going to have, I think, a pretty interesting discussion today. Riley, Carl, welcome to Sales Lead Dog.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you guys here. So this is going to be fun. So my podcast manager, when he pitched this idea to me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. Let's do this. Let's see how this goes. Let's start off with, tell me about Elan Fuels.
Elan Fuels is about 6 years old. It is a fuel supply company, buying and selling. And inside of that, there is also a transportation company. So Riley and I recently joined. We both came from another large bulk carrier. I came in about 3-4 months ago. Riley came in right behind me. And our roles inside the company is learn about the fuel supply side, but also to really build out the common carrier side of it. You know, Riley's specialty is on the bulk chemical side of things. You know, my specialty is more on the fuel side of things and trying to catch up with her on the chemical side as well. So came in, Elan started out, there was a big ice storm down in Houston a few years ago, 5-6 years ago. Nobody else could find trucks because Elan had a trucking fleet associated with them. The unbranded customers in Houston were like, wow, you can get us our fuel when nobody else can. And so then it just kind of took off from there. So great story, great family. You know, there is a brother and a sister. The family owns the Elan convenience stores in town. Nice. They decided to do the supply arm and their spouses. So the four of them are the president, CEO, CFO, COO, and then their lifetime friend is the chief information officer.
That is awesome. That is a great story. Who are your customers? Who are you guys selling to? Who's buying from you guys?
Names. I mean, the unbranded community down in Houston, there's about 1,000 customers that buy fuel from Elan. And then we also deliver to most of those. And fuel is such a price game. Today they may buy from us, tomorrow from somebody else. But we are the largest unbranded supplier in the state of Texas now.
That's saying something for the state of Texas. Yeah.
It's a big state.
Yeah.
We have brought customers with us, the relationships. I'm sure we'll go into, why would customers follow us to a smaller venue like this? But really those relationships. So we've started doing business with people like Kroger's, Quick Trip, Pilot Flying J, TA, just to name a few that have come with us. And on the chemical side, very major Shreve Chemical, Helm, Riley,
Another 60 other ones.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, let's jump in here a little bit so my listeners get an idea of who you guys are. Riley, I'm going to start with you. How'd you get started in sales?
Well, Chris, that's a funny story. Never planned to be in. It's something. So obviously my background is operations, running a terminal, managing drivers, handling dispatch, all of the things, getting out there and helping fix equipment even. So being in operations as long as I have, and then I realized, due to circumstances, I needed to make a move, and I actually applied to our previous job, and I had a meeting with them and they were like, hey, we don't want you to be terminal manager. Like, you should be in sales. And this guy over here, Carl Bailey, was like, aren't you tired of being like thrown through a plate glass window every day, missing your daughter's recitals and your son's game because you're constantly having to answer the phone? And I'm like, obviously that in my head. Yeah, I'm missing recitals. I'm missing games. I never thought I could even go into a sales role and succeed, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a risk. And he convinced me, and I took that risk. And so far it's been a blessing, like with my family as a single mom, 2 kids. And honestly, I've fallen in love with it. I'm half operations and half sales is what I normally say. But I have to say, I am falling more and more in love with sales every day.
That is awesome. I love that story. Carl, how about you? How'd you get into what's your path to being CMO?
Well, and people refer to us as salespeople, and a lot of times there's a negative connotation about a salesperson. And I refer to Riley and I as charismatic operators. We've both come from the operations background. Obviously, that carries credibility when you walk into a meeting. You know the company's limitations. You know what the company can and can't do. And so probably been in the industry, let's just round up or down 33, 34 years, probably 27 of that and the last 15 prior to that, of that being the vice president of operations for multiple companies. The owner of the last company asked me where we had a shortfall. And I told him that, and I'll digress for 1 second. I spent 10 years in the military, so I'm very starched inside, very loose on the outside. And my answer to him was, you don't have enough structure on your sales team. They're out there running and gunning and buying lunches and dinners, and nobody's really tracking, what they're doing and what the return on that investment is. And he answered, good, I want you to lead the sales team. And my response was not politically correct, but I said, I'm too old, fat, and ugly for that. And he said, no, I want you to do it. And I did. And what I learned from that charismatic operator, most of the meetings you're in with operators, they're very black and white. They're very blunt. They're very direct. They don't have time for small talk. But when you have an operator that can actually carry a conversation and pull out of that operator what they actually need, then you can decide, can my company fulfill what your needs are?
Right.
And you can explain it. So really that was my path into the sales side of things and the relationships, as Riley said, just falling in love with the ability to create these long-term relationships.
That's tremendous. I just recorded an episode earlier today for Sales Lead Dog. And, I asked my guest, what are the 3 things that have really made you successful? And number 1 for him, I think it was number 1, was deliver on your promise. If you can't deliver, when you're in the delivery business, I'd imagine you're pretty much kind of going to struggle a little bit if you can't deliver what they're asking you to deliver.
With our operational background, and Riley falls into this just as much as I do, I've always been thrust back into, hey, Carl, this is broken. Can you go fix it? Hey, Carl, your company's not delivering exactly what you described. Can you go fix it? And I've asked Riley to step back in. She does it on her own, back up dispatch, go drivers the customer. So controlling, along with the promise side of it, having some kind of control. At Elan, when I came in, they were like, you've got a strong operations background. We assume you still want to be, and I've never had this happen before. I've only changed companies 4 times in that 30-some years. Came in as the vice president of sales. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks later, they said, hey, we see a skill here. Would you mind being our senior VP of sales and operations? Sure. I didn't ask for it. 2 weeks later, well, would you mind being our chief marketing officer and stay involved in sales and operations both?
Yeah.
Anything to make the company successful.
Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of funny, but definitely wanting to stay involved and control some of that operational performance.
I think it's super interesting that, I get a lot of chief revenue officers on the show where in the role of CRO, you typically span sales and marketing, but you're not typically involved with operations. You guys are both a very unique position, having that a strong foot in operations. And so how does that impact you from the selling side? Can you share with our listeners how that maybe helps you guys in your role on the sales side?
Riley, you want to take this one?
You never asked Carl Bailey. All right. I'm kidding. Yes, of course, Chris. So basically what I've learned is I was in operations, and yes, the stigma behind saleswomen is not great. Oh, they play golf all day. They're drinking all day. They're out with customers. They're not doing anything. They're just throwing stuff at operations to handle, right? That's just the stigma behind it. Coming into sales with that operational background, I will admit, Carl has mentored me. He is my mentor, and he taught me how to, handle sales situations. And I will say, going into a sales meeting and knowing what you can and can't provide, and you're not overselling and under-promising, is a huge thing. They see that. They're like, okay, you know what that product is. You know what you're selling, basically.
Right.
You know where it's from, what you need to use it for, and you know how much it's going to cost, and you know if your team's going to be able to handle it. And I think that honesty on a customer side is amazing, and they see it. And I will tell you, I've never had one customer get angry, upset, pull business for being honest, even if the company was in the wrong or vice versa.
Yeah.
The customer.
People want to buy from people they can trust, right?
Yes.
So I imagine this experience, what I'm hearing from you, Riley, is that you're able to establish a rapport and a level of trust that otherwise would be really difficult if you didn't have that depth of knowledge. Is that an accurate statement?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, we're taking a quick break to thank you for listening to and supporting the Sales Lead Dog podcast. I want to take a moment and tell you about my book, CRM Shouldn't Suck. If your CRM feels more like a black hole for data than something that actually helps your team sell, you're not alone. The book breaks down why CRMs fail for so many businesses and what you can do about it. No fluff, just real strategies that work. So go to crmshouldn'tsuck.com to order your free copy right now. That's right, we're giving it away. And while you're there, take 2 minutes to check out the CRM Impact Score. It's a quick diagnostic that shows you how your CRM is really performing, where it's helping you and where it's hurting you. You'll get a personalized report with clear, actionable next steps you can start right away to maximize your CRM investment. We've also got blogs, videos, and a bunch of other resources to help you finally get the results you were promised when you bought your CRM. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Sales Lead Dog. Okay, let's get back to this episode of the Sales Lead Dog podcast.
So, or does that surprise your customers when you're coming in to talk to them? Is that something they're used to in your world, or is that unique for you guys?
I think I know Carl's answer on this as well, but I think it's definitely unique because I think that when we come in there, they literally are like, this is refreshing. Like, we can talk to you because you guys know the operational side to this. This is refreshing. You're not just shoving, what you're trying to sell down our throats, because that's not what they want to do. I remember my first sales meeting coming out of operations and working with Carl, and we went in there and I jumped right into, hey, this is why you should come with us, right? And after the meeting, he coached me and he was like, you can't do that. Like, it's obviously you have to, that's a person sitting across that table, right? And you need to get to know them, ask them questions. That small talk is meaningful and powerful. And so I've learned a lot over the past year, with that. And I will say that, thanks to him, I don't jump into that. Now it's more, hey, how is your kid doing? Did he win that soccer game? It's all about relationships. 100%.
Chris, have you ever heard the acronym FORM? FORM. I do it so naturally now that I don't even recognize I'm doing it, but family, occupation, recreation, motivation. And that's how we go into the meetings is why jump into it? Let's learn about one another. Let's find your button. Let's find out what motivates you. Why are you doing this? And then we can get into the business side of things. We always open up with a little bit about the person as much as they'll share.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because it is. People buy from people. I get asked, like, do you think AI is going to replace salespeople? I'm like, no. People buy from people. Like, I don't want to buy from a machine or from a computer. Like if something goes bad, who am I going to call?
Exactly.
To say, hey, this isn't working. I need you to fix it. AI is going to like, hey, it's just going to feed garbage back to me. I'm like, come on. So, Carl, I have a follow-up question for you on the marketing side. So you've you've come from operations, you went into sales, now you're CMO.
Mm-hmm.
When they talked to you about, hey, we want you to be CMO, did that scare you at all? Or was that something that excited you?
I'm originally from Kentucky, so I don't think the IQ level quite goes to the fear level.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. So, the conversation was, well, the original conversation was, let's teach you a little bit about buying and selling fuel. Okay. So, okay. So let's do that. Then, how are we going to market this company? And I think that's just an extension of the sales process. So, we went to Sigma up in Las Colinas, Dallas area a few weeks ago. It's a big it's our largest energy conference, C-level. And I'm in the hallway with the owners of they call themselves the managing partners of the company. And a person broke into our little huddle and was like, excuse me, guys, I see Elan Fuels on your name badges. In my last 3 meetings, people have asked me if I've heard or know about Elan. You guys are the buzz of the conference. Can I ask you a little bit more about your company? And to be quite frank, the company's doing an amazing job on the supply side. They hired, and your listeners can look her up. Stephanie McAnally is a very well-known entity in the transportation world, the energy world. They brought me in with 30 some years of experience. So you put that in there on LinkedIn and your change and your updates, and all of a sudden people are curious, and then you start signing up some of those big name customers that we mentioned in the beginning.
Yep.
And literally on the fuel side, maybe 10. On the chemical side, the amazing side of this story, Riley's got about 60 chemical customers signed up. We're doing business with a handful, maybe a half a dozen, but the rest of them are willing to wait until we get the trucks, trailers, and drivers and then come on. It's like lining up airplanes for a runway.
Yeah.
And the relationship is the only reason that they're standing there going, when you're ready, we'll do business with you. And we just met with, and I'm hearing name dropping is okay. Coastal Chemicals, somebody we love, met with them last week or earlier this week. And they're like, we will grow with you. We will allow you to grow and be there as you grow. So the marketing side of it, word of mouth, reputation, and we'll really get into the serious marketing. At this point in time, the marketing budget doesn't have to be very large because we're just trying to keep up with demand right now.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the road, I think the marketing side will kick in a lot more once we pick the low hanging fruit up.
Yeah.
And then Carl hired me, so then he has free marketing there. I'm on my Facebook and everything. Elan Fuels.
Yep.
TikTok and all.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah. So I love that statement you said that marketing is really an extension of sales. I think for so long, there was a wall between sales and marketing. And I've never understood that. And, then the catchphrase, well, we need to connect sales and marketing. And then it became, we need to unify sales and marketing. To me, they need to be one and the same.
Sure.
Because marketing can't do their job if they don't understand the language of the customer. And they can only get that from sales. Like they need to be in the, if not physically in the room, they need to have that information flow coming from the room where, the salespeople are in there meeting with the customers and hearing what they're saying, what their, specific language they're using, the terms they're using.
Chris,
that's what resonates.
Back you up a couple of more steps because the operations side, what are you going to market if things don't work?
Right.
So sales can't sell if it doesn't work. You can't market what doesn't work.
Right.
Your operational platform is literally the backbone. And I told everybody for years, sales, specifically when I was an operator, sales is a tool for operations. Know what money they're spending, know who they're taking out to dinner, find out how you get into those meetings and change that from a sales relationship to an operations relationship. Bring your sales team in when there's new lanes to be priced, when there's new opportunities, but you only get those opportunities for new business if the operations team is doing their job well.
Right.
So I think we got to back it up and start on that platform of operations. Then we're starting to sell it. Now we got something to market.
Yeah.
That's a good
I like you did that because it is, if you can't deliver what's being sold, it's just a matter of time. You're going to be out of business.
We dubbed a phrase a few months ago called catch and release. Sales can catch it, but poor operations will release it. Right. So we try to stay out of the catch and release business.
Yeah, no kidding. Because that's just churn. All you're doing is refilling the same bucket over and over again. And that's hard to do when you're constantly doing that. Talk about the culture at Elan. What's the culture like there?
I'm looking at Riley.
The culture is amazing. I've only been there for about a month now. And so far, just walking in, the owners are like, hey, do you want a cup of water? And they're getting it for you. And I've just never seen that, right? You always see like the president in their office with the door shut. And it's like, hey, you can come talk to me anytime, but can I really? But I will say at Elan, all of the owners are involved. They care, they'll call and they'll be like, hey, Carl, how are you doing? Is everything good? Hey, Riley, how are you doing? Is everything great? So the culture there is amazing. They care about the people as much as they care about the business. And to me, that's super important. And Carl, whatever you want to.
Yeah, a couple of quick stories about that. A lot of the younger generation gets a bad rap about work ethics. And, I look at it and say, they're using the tools that are being created to work smarter, not harder. There's the live to work, work to live, balance where I believe the younger generation has a better grasp on that. Our owners are in their early 30s. They're in the office every single day. I came in and we ran out of office space and that's okay. I'm sitting in the conference room and I see them packing their computers down the hallway and I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're moving out on the floor so you can have an office. And I'm like, I will never sit in that office. We literally now have a huddle room office because they refuse to go back to it and I refuse to take their office. But if you want to talk about subservient leadership, move your computer out on the damn floor. Yeah. That's subservient leadership. And that's what they exemplify. So can't say enough about the culture.
That's awesome. So how do you extend that into your team to make sure that culture is maintained and grows?
We really talk about what are the intangibles, what are the cornerstones or pillars of our culture that we want to retain through the growth. What are non-negotiables? Because I've heard it from many companies and I was at JB Hunt, small trucking company, not really many billions of dollars. You could get lost in that culture. A couple of the other companies, I've never left a company because of poor ownership. Ownership has always been amazing for the most part, but there's pipeline of culture from the owners to the employees. And typically, if it's a bad culture, there's one asshole that's crimping that pipeline of culture. Right. And our jobs as leaders in the company is to figure out where that crimp is, remove the crimp, and allow their culture to flow as they would want it. And I ask employees all the time, do you think they're proud of that decision? Do you think that they would be proud of us if we did this or this? And I actually had employees come up to me, I don't think they would have been proud of that decision. And I'm like, no, you're right, they wouldn't. So let's change it. The awareness is there. So culture is amazing. Those pillars of understanding what are non-negotiables as we grow, and we aspire to grow. I couldn't give you a number. I think I actually scare the owners when I give them my number because I see where this could go and where it's going. And we're deciding on what those non-negotiables are.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That you said something there that really grabbed me, and that really, I think, it's a great example of your culture in that you had someone that's willing to challenge you and say, hey, that wasn't the right decision. That's a good culture.
Right.
When people can have a voice like that, then you as a leader have the vulnerability to say, you're right. That's, to me, a very important quality in a leader.
I've shared with Riley my approach to leadership, and a lot of people think true north. If a decision is true north, they think it's a lead pencil width, very narrow. And I look at it like it's a stream, and there's 10 rocks to get across the stream. All of them are decent answers. One might be slightly better than the other, but if I always tell you which rock to step on, what are you going to learn? Right. You're going to learn to look back at me and ask me what rock to step on. Yeah. Step on the rock, fall in the creek, get up. We'll talk about why that was a bad rock, why this is a better rock. But the reality is that's the only way for people to learn. Now, My only mandate on that is if somebody can get hurt or killed, because we are in the transportation business, I really need to give you some guidance based on my experience.
Yeah.
But if there's no concern about, the employee's welfare, hey, there's 10 rocks out there. Which one do you want to step on?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's what we try and cultivate.
And I think you do a good job. I think at Elan, the owners, all the leadership, Stephanie, they'll all do a good job of cultivating that. One thing, I have learned from other, leaders and throughout my career is I never had a voice. So if I have an idea, having, Carl and I can go to him with that idea and he'll listen. And if he agrees, great. We'll try and, test that out. If he doesn't, we agree to disagree. There's no friction or tension there. It's just pure respect. But also, I call him out too, because he allows me to have that voice where if I feel he's wrong, and as he knows, I am very passionate and that I'm a very passionate person, especially about my job and my career. So I will challenge him too. So it's a good way for, to have a leader that will allow you to challenge them back and be like, oh, wait, I'm wrong too. And vice versa. So I think that cultivates and allows, with the ownership and this company, they do it as well. We sit in a room and we're allowed to speak our opinions and our voice, and we're not getting penalized for it.
Right.
So.
Right. Yep. Well, then once that decision's made, you got to move forward.
Oh, right? Absolutely. And we agree to disagree, and it usually ends up, we admit that the other person was right.
Yep.
Well,
so
in a lot of times, we end up just polishing the idea.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Carl.
No. I just said a lot of times we just end up polishing the idea.
Yeah. What I tell my team, look, there's no decision. There's not a decision that's carved in stone. Right? It has to be fluid because everything's changing all the time. And what worked today may not work tomorrow, And so we have to be open to that. And because all that matters, we're just trying to get across the stream. Does it really matter how we do it? We need to get to the end objective. That's what really matters.
I love that. Truly.
Yeah. Let's shift perspectives a little bit to how do you put yourself in the seat of your buyers, the people that you're working with and trying to build that relationship, leveraging the experience that you guys have and that depth of knowledge. How do you guys actually try, when you're coming in cold to someone, how do you put yourself in the seat of the buyer?
A little bit of the secret sauce, which I can't even believe you're pulling it out of me, Chris. You're pulling it out of me. A little bit of the secret sauce that I've learned over the years. Most people in those roles, they have some sort of an incentive plan. They have some sort of a bonus or a commission. And through those conversations, if you understand it's on-time service, if you understand it's cost per ton, if you understand what allows them to take care of their families, and if you can target that little piece, and there's a lot of other things that go into it.
Yeah.
But if you can make a difference on that one, you can get them listening to you, I believe.
What role does technology play in how you service your clients, how you sell to your clients, and how you service your clients?
We are very fortunate. We have two of our managing partners that are IT wizards. And I say that, and I don't say it lightly. I've come from companies that have large, big budgets on the IT department, and everything going on right now in the world is amazing. But these two guys, Zoe and Ali, sit down and write things, and they share it with us, and they ask for our input and feedback, and they're not technically paid to do that. It's no different than anybody else. Bots are trained to take orders from a text or a Teams message and put it into our dispatch software. So really, the human touch and transportation, it's really like rubbing two sticks together to build a fire. We go back to caveman days in a lot of situations. And so everything that's happening right now is amazing to me, and it's probably more normalized to somebody like Riley. But the things that we can do to eliminate those human touches that make their jobs easier, take away the human error opportunity, just the customer experience gets better and better.
Oh, yeah. I was at a conference. It wasn't really a conference, but Microsoft brought in a bunch of their partners for a day and a half a year ago to talk about AI. And they kind of let us peek behind the curtain on everything they're doing with AI. And I was blown away at what they're visualizing and what it's going to allow people to do, especially in low margin businesses where we get a lot of orders that are low margin. If I could put an AI agent on that, where it's receiving those orders, processing those orders, getting them in like that, we're sending a quote back. The customer wants a quote and I'm giving you the quote back. And it's all being done automatically. They're getting this immediate response. If they want to make changes, all it's done through AI and it's going through. And I only need to elevate the order to a human when it gets complicated or something happened that's outside the norm of what the agent's allowed to do. I'm like, man, there's a lot of industries that could be really impacted by this technology.
Impressive.
And what it's going to do for the customers too, because speed matters. In so many businesses, it's speed. I need speed and I need accuracy, and to be able to pull the human out of it and focus them on what's really where they're going to add the most value. It's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Agreed? Yeah. How do you see AI impacting your world?
There again, eliminating human errors, the routing. We think we know the way around a city, but we don't know traffic patterns. Right. We know what the traffic looks like at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
We don't know what it looks like at 7, 8, 9, 10 a.m. Yeah. But AI is able to go in there and say, based on the last 7 days and the algorithms, we're going to recommend you go this direction. Yep. So it really gets the speed of the transaction. We physically, the trucks go out, get loaded with the fuel, go deliver it to a convenience store or a big box company. And if we can pick up an extra 15 or 20 minutes on 5 loads in a day, we just picked up a 6 load.
Oh,
so pretty impactful.
That's the thing that's the other thing where they're building these bots to just to, instead of having a manual person or person mainly trying to manage the schedule and do all this stuff, you have AIs doing it all the time. It never stops.
Yeah.
And not taking bathroom breaks or any of that. It's just constantly looking and optimizing. It's really going to be impactful, I think.
I thought AI did take bathroom breaks. No, I'm kidding.
It's not supposed to. The ads are telling me it's not supposed to, so we'll see. Yeah. What do you guys get excited about the most in each of your jobs? Riley, what excites you the most?
What excites me most is the challenge of bringing in new business, but also the challenge of being able to provide and keep that business. And because I am allowed to be on the operations side as well, along with being a sales director. I love the feeling of going into a customer meeting, one that I found maybe on LinkedIn, and it's a first visit. It's not a relationship that I've always had. And I'm so nervous in the beginning. And then I walk in and I'm like, okay. And it goes well. And I just tell them what we can and can't offer. And I'm completely honest. And then I walk out of there and then I get a text or a message and an email back. Hey, send over the onboarding paperwork because we would love to start working with you. Even though maybe I had that self-doubt and I'm like, I don't know how that went, how they perceived it. But that feeling, that rush, that adrenaline rush of, oh my gosh, okay, yes, they want to do it. Now I got to make sure to deliver on it and sure our team does.
Yep. My quick Riley story, it might have been our first visit together. I've been working on a specific customer for the last 6 years, trying to close the business, and great relationship, great people, just not got that well across the finish line yet. And we go into one of our meetings and the customer said, no, we're not onboarding anybody new. And this was one of her chemical customers, and a little dejected. She kept after him. A week later, they called and said, you know what? We've decided to onboard you. And she looked at me and she goes, dang, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm like, 7 days? 7 days? And I so that leads me into my favorite part right now. I mean, obviously, I think it's a 3-dimensional sphere. It's not 1-dimensional. It's not 2-dimensional. It's 3-dimensional. You spin it around. You look at it from top to bottom, left to right, back to front. But coaching and mentoring, we've talked about it in one of Riley's podcasts on, I probably shouldn't say her podcast, but
that's all right.
I Dare to Diva. And it was one of those things where, coaching and mentoring, and when you get somebody that she can't get enough of the education, she can't get enough of the training, she can't get enough of my life lessons, and she applies them.
Yeah.
And this is not necessarily promoting Riley Day, but the reality is when you get a student or a pupil or a mentee that really wants it, man, it's so rewarding at this point in my career to have people like that. And Riley's not the only one. We've got more. She just happens to be, the
one he has to talk nice about right now because I'm on here.
And at the risk of upsetting everybody else, Riley has absolutely embraced the learn process.
My next question for you, Carl, was, what's your favorite thing about Riley? You answered it before you even asked it.
There you go.
It's amazing.
He can name another favorite. He doesn't like to give compliments. I'm kidding. He does.
Out there.
I will say, leadership is everything, and I don't think people, do it in the right way and all of the things. But, I had left an abusive relationship 10 years, and, I go to this new job and I meet, Carl, and next thing you know, a few months later, there is a podcast out. I have a voice. Like, he allowed me to have a voice and see my self-worth and my confidence, just like I started to believe in myself. Then I published 2 books. And now my kids see this, weak, fragile mom. They see this mom who is providing, working hard, and she's using her voice to do, what she feels is right. So I'm grateful.
Awesome. Carl, I couldn't echo what you're saying anymore. For me, I tell people all the time, if I was retired, I'd be a teacher. I love to educate people. When I meet with a prospect, I educate more than I sell.
Really?
I don't try to sell. I just try to educate them on, here's your options. Here's what I think works best and why.
The consultative sell.
Yeah, it's very consultative. And that's what I love best about my world. I get to do that every day.
Yeah.
And then with my team, it's the same thing. It's like, I'd love to share knowledge. And I warn people all the time, like, be careful what questions you ask me, because I can give long answers. If I have that opportunity to educate you, I'm going to take it.
Well, let me put my notebook away, Chris, because I know you're an author. You have CRM. Okay, I've done my research. I've already bought your books.
Yeah. So I love that. It gives me a deep amount of passion, and it's like the best part of my job is being able to just sit down and let's talk. Let's, and if we're able to work together, great. But I always want to leave people better off than when I met them, So,
I don't know. Riley and I talk about it, and I don't know how I got so lucky to find somebody that gets it, that wants it, that's willing to put in the time, effort, energy to get there. I think she probably added another 10 years onto my career just by being that person. So
that's awesome.
It is amazing.
That's one of the nicest things I've heard someone say about a coworker. That is really nice. Yeah. And I think that's a great spot for us to close out this episode of Sales Lead Dog. I really, really appreciate you both coming on. This is a great way for me to end my Friday. And I truly appreciate you both coming on. I really feel like you've given me a gift of your time and your stories and sharing all that with myself and the listeners. If people want to reach out, connect with you guys, if they want to learn more about Elan Fuels, what's the best way for them to do that?
We are accessible on LinkedIn. Email address for myself, Carl Bailey at elanfuels.com, and Riley Vidock at
Riley.Vidock. Make sure you have that period in there between, guys, at elanfuels.com.
How did you get a dot? I didn't get a dot.
I guess you're not dotted. I don't know, bud.
Yeah, you're officially not dotted.
I am not dotted.
If you didn't catch that, don't worry about it. We have it in our show notes. You can get that at impellercrm.com/sales lead dog. These two are funny.
I'm serious.
A pair. These two are a pair. What's that, Carl?
I'm serious. She's funny.
All right.
Funny looking.
So be sure to check out the website. Be sure to subscribe so you get all our future episodes of Sales Lead Dog. We greatly appreciate that level of support. Carl, Riley, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm very pleased to welcome you both into the Sales Lead Dog Pack.
Thank you
for having us.
We're so grateful.
As we end this discussion on Sales Lead Dog, be sure to subscribe to catch all our episodes. On social media, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Watch the videos on YouTube, and you can also find our episodes on our website at impellercrm.com/Sales Lead Dog. Sales Lead Dog is supported by Impeller CRM, delivering objectively better CRM for business, guaranteed.